tripped over the same stick like 4 days in a row. It's ripped a big gash in my goddamn foot, and I'll probably get flesh-eating disease or something. God damn it. Anyway, yeah, where was I? Starting the video. Oh, okay, we're starting the video now. Press the button. Oh, I pressed the button. I think I did. Yes, I did. Anyway. Oh, I really did hurt my foot. Anyway. Yeah, okay. More anti-natalism thing, of course. You know, the arguments you get. So one guy made a video, I made a video, and the guy posted a comment, and he's, you know, basically saying that the functionality of life, like a thunderfoot, makes this kind of argument, that the functionality is written by the DNA molecule. The function is survival. In and of itself, this is now declared the good. And somehow it's ludicrous to question the goodness of survival for the sake of survival, or the logic of that, or the sense of that. To sit there and say, let's look at the engine that is life on Earth. Now, I would argue from the start, I think it's almost ludicrous to have to do this, but yeah, let's just say, why don't we first find out where you people stand? Let's understand, let's accept this premise, 4 billion years of life evolving. And let's accept this premise that for the last 500 million, the things have been feeling. And they've been basically just eating each other in a fight between DNA molecules. Subtle difference in the molecule, a huge fight, huge carnage. We see organisms on this planet right now. They have, hundreds of offspring even. And, to produce one survivor that might reproduce. So a huge amount of carnage, attrition, for the value of creating an eccentricity, a difference that somehow makes a difference, an extra spot on the back of a ladybug, or whatever it is. For this extra spot, we'll have 1 million years of organisms eating organisms to create this extra spot that will be negated because some invasive species shows up and changes the whole environment anyway, and the spot becomes superfluous and irrelevant. But anyway, let's not even get into that. So yeah, just all these sentient organisms, which are essentially relatives of each other, nieces and nephews, metaphorically, to use explicit language, just minorly different in their genetic code, a few hundredths of a percentile difference in the genetic code, and they consider each other food because of that minor difference. And they go out and rip the other thing to pieces and steal its energy to further their genetic code getting into the future. And in the end, the best thing that's come out of all this, for a very brief time, tiny amount of time, by comparison to this 500 million years, there's been organisms that can watch sunsets and go, the sun, ooh, sun, ooh. Yeah, they can do that. And so, all of this price, so for a tiny amount of time, a few meager organisms, funny monkeys, can sit around and go, oh, isn't it all lovely and beautiful? And jizz on the pretty colors. Yeah, that's what it is, right? So why don't you just say that you find that justifiable? That you would conduct that experiment for that purpose, to create the show American Idol, or Survivor. You would have organisms eat their own kind, essentially. You have DNA molecules compete in an environment where they're sentient, where they feel the suffering, the pain, where they're subjected to all kinds of invasive species that keep trying to invade their body and harm them, consume them, live off of them parasitically, and cause them physical and psychological pain. You'd do it. You'd press that button. You'd say, yeah, let's do that. let's say with the premise being that we go no further than this. The best we do is we land on the moon and create American Idol. That's good enough for you. That makes sense to you. I mean, why don't we just premise the conversation just so we can figure out who's a complete and utter preposterous asshole? Because maybe if you think, all right, well, maybe the whole thing was horrible to get here, but we're at some place where we can actually do something with this. Well, that's another argument. But I don't see any point in arguing with people who can justify 500 million years of carnage for this meager product, the soap opera. And that's all we have. I mean, all you people, you humans deluding yourself that there's somewhere else to go here. No, we're just going to keep acting out Shakespeare plays forever. There is no other game to play. That's the only game in this town. And you're just deluding yourself if you think there's going to be some vision of a consciousness that's just going to go around whatever, jizzing on Teletubbies. I mean, whatever you come up with as your singularity, as your great destiny of the consciousness of equity, or whatever the fuck it is, it's just going to sound pretty perverted. It's going to sound pretty fucked up. Sorry, no sale. I certainly can't make any sense out of it. I want to evolve as a species so I can be some sort of bizarre, perverted, universal pedophile or something. Screw you. That sounds as wacky as the Jesus heaven. You know, sit around all day waiting to shake Jeebus' hand. And the Holy Ghost, of course. I never met the Holy Ghost. Fuck you, you're silly. And these are atheists. So yeah, the obvious argument is here is this is just, they're just created the god of DNA. DNA defines our purpose, defines our functionality. So again, I'm going to oblige people to argue a different metaphor, a different narrative. And it doesn't have to be a metaphor. Again, arguing with conference report. I could use explicit language, but unfortunately people are so caught up in their bullshit that, yeah, they're not going to get it. But yeah, the metaphor is, it's a machine. It's a thing that has a functionality. And what are we defining as the product, and what are we defining as the consumable? That's what goes into the function of a machine. You define the value of something based on what it consumes, the value of that, and the value of what it produces. And then you declare it a good or a bad. And so what is the life machine doing? What is it producing? It's producing DNA molecules. Yeah. It's produced a ton of mammals now covering the earth that have a motivational mechanism of desire. They have a need to chase the carrot, so to speak. Another metaphor, but they have a need. They're imposed upon them as sense organs that don't just react to the world in a reflexive manner. Well, it's reflexive, but it isn't a direct reflex where A happens and their knee jerks. No, instead of a knee jerk, they have a sensation jerk. So something happens, they have a sensation as a reaction to the happening of grief or fear, aversion, attraction, hunger, horniness. These things will happen to them based on the stimulus. So instead of a knee jerk, a physical reaction like other machines in the environment, this particular type of machine, a mammal, and other organisms as well, creates certainly birds, reptiles, I think so, no doubt about it, I think, and maybe insects. Instead of just a knee jerk, first there's a feeling. A sensation fills this thing of me, this area. And I am compelled, my brain, viewing the sensation, having it like an experience, like seeing the sunlight, like seeing, like hearing, tweet, tweet, I feel this sixth sense of an emotion, a feeling is imposed upon me, of attraction or repulsion, like or dislike, comfort or discomfort. That's what's manifested inside of me. And now my brain, my reflexive intelligence, looks at that circumstance and says, how do I correct for this dilemma? Or how do I maintain this circumstance because it's enjoyable? It strategizes how I play this game. And that's what's happening to us. Now, is that magical? Is that something to get spiritual about? Is there intrinsic accomplishment in this? This creation of need, want, desire, motivation, especially when it comes at the price of often being full of a sense of insufficiency, where we are in most of our existence propelled to move. We're not in utopia. We don't exist in perfect comfort. No, instead we exist in some other circumstance where we are compelled to move, to function, to do, because we are not settled and comfortable, either by the burdens of long-term expectations and obligations, like the one that forces me to walk this path, or obligations of the moment. And so is this intrinsically valuable? Is this intrinsically functional? Especially when we can just look at it and see that for most of the time, I'm not in a comfortable state. I am uncomfortable to some degree or another. That's how I spend most of my existence. And at those moments when I am comfortable, a huge percentage of them are merely based on ego gratification. Something I hate is destroyed and it makes me happy. Yeah. Or, crap. Absolute psychological nonsense. Stuff that doesn't have any reality, any rational reality, but that I'm gratified because of a psychological disposition. It's a matter of taste, a matter of subjective sensibilities. And so it's bullshit. And that's what this is all running on. So let's look at this engine, and you can't just assume it's functioning if you're an atheist. You have to evaluate the machine. So let's evaluate how much suffering goes in, how much suffering is paid for it, how many elephant men, how many years on the deathbed, how many resources have to be wasted on the deathbed. That is, how many people are employed wiping old people's asses and hosing them down and saying they're there, everything's going to be okay, even though they don't give a shit. Let's evaluate how much energy, how much negative energy, work, grief, suffering is imposed to maintain this whatever it is, these few glory moments we get, where we find mountain perfection and we get to the plateau and sit up there for a little while sipping our wine. And so this is the price we pay. It's all this bad, these 5 years of chemotherapy just to die weighing 65 pounds. I'm sorry. I mean, you just don't have to think about much of the horror to say I'm not doing anything to justify that. I certainly wouldn't experience that to have my little glory moments. That's my only rational conclusion. Whoa. Yeah, I almost fell off the track here. Yeah, I'm having a blood sugar thing or something. I don't know. Yeah, it's a little... Ew. Can't be my ears, I hope. Not again. Whatever. Can't win. I mean, my balance is okay. Yeah. Blood sugar. Or heart attack. Or, let's see what else. Oh, the thyroid thing, too, yeah. Well, anyway. Yeah, that wasn't a fun trip. Yeah. Distraction, though, that's good. Whoa! That's what happens when you start to, yeah, you slide into the abyss. You can't see the rocks anymore. Anyway. Fuck. That just depressed the hell out of me. I said anyway. Fuck. Alright, I'll get over it. Moving on. Right. So that's the engine here. It's a bunch of things killing each other, eating each other, for the singular purpose of fighting a fight to become the best gladiator. And there's no prize, as I've said. There's no reward. There's no nothing. It's a completely unmerited victory. There was no evil to defeat. There was no harm prevented. In fact, harm was created to have the war. It's just maintaining a war. That's all you're doing, people. When you vote for life, you're just voting for a war that has no function, serves no purpose. You're just voting to war. Just, yes, make the organisms fight with each other, make the DNA molecules fight with each other for nothing, to accomplish nothing, to satisfy needs that didn't need to exist. I mean, you can't make it any simpler than that. To clean up a mess of dissatisfaction that didn't need to be made. Yeah, that's it. So anyway, it's clear that these atheists are just the same as religious nuts. DNA is God. God says life is purposeful. The end. They're not going to argue it. They're not going to explain how there's any kind of cost-to-benefit equation here that makes any sense at all. They're not going to explain how addiction isn't a real phenomenon. No, they're just not going to negate all that and just say, I want it because I want it. And that's just bullshit. That's like just saying my race is better than the other guy's race because I think so. You know, that's meaningless. It's drivel. You got to prove it. Prove the merit. Demonstrate the merit. Anytime you're going to take a risk with something's welfare, you've got to have a mission statement. You've got to have a justifying cause. And the cause of, oh, it seems like life is good, is hardly enough. So anyway, enough said. The walk home. Yeah. I mean, come on, look at that. Jeez. Quite beautiful. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. A nice swim. Really, really quiet, peaceful. Oh. So nice. Anyway, I mean, we did that. Oh, it's horrible. Video. More conversation. Let's see. So what other arguments are there? What other stupid arguments do people make in defense of perpetuating life on Earth? Okay, yeah, I think the good arguments are like the Martian argument, for example. But even the humans, like some people talk like we're going to go out into outer space and conquer the universe or something. And it's just such a crock of crap. And then who's going to do that? You know, as a practical matter, you know, certain races are declining in population. Certain races are quadrupling or whatever you want to, however you want to look at it. There's all this expansion and contraction. And maybe even that's a good way to test people's muster for their perception that there needs to be, life needs to go on. I mean, if you had some sort of, you know, project to send life, you know, human life into space, and I wonder if the catch was your race wasn't included. So whatever your race is, your people wouldn't be included on the little, whatever, spacecraft to, you know, the Universal Fun Park. I wonder if you'd sponsor the ride. Yeah, I wonder if he'd be all enthusiastic. Because this all does seem like to be a disgusting ego contest. These people, you people, seem to be just obsessing about you're seeing the world through your own eyes, and not the reality of what it would be or what it would mean to other people living in different circumstances or other circumstances. I mean, I think that's what happens when you have these conversations, is these people just do. They see life only from their perspective, and they can't even imagine truly, properly, what it's like to be somebody else. Somebody in the dark who's afraid of the dark, or whatever it might be. You know, because they're not. They just assume nobody else ever will be or ever is. And just as a narrow way to look at the world and our circumstance. Hey, pups. I know those dogs being walked by foreigners. Yeah. Strange people walking the dog. Anyway, I guess they're on vacation. Alright, what was that? It probably doesn't matter. Yeah, I'm probably not being terribly coherent. Whoa. And such. My sleeve is too short. Yeah. I don't care. Yeah, I get some used clothes. They don't always fit. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, life is stupid. And yeah, you'll know it from a different perspective. So, I mean, if you really thought about it, and you were really rolling for your own welfare, if it really was your own at stake here, and the prospect was of being born retarded or something, and all that kind of stuff was sitting right there in front of you, I just really don't think you'd do it. I don't think you would risk it. I know I wouldn't go anywhere near it. Just seeing what the average human is like, if that was what the dice I was actually rolling in. Here's average human dice. Now, you're going to roll them and live that life of the average human. I mean, no way am I picking up those dice. No way. So, I mean, I just don't get it. I'm going to take the chance of being born in Indonesia. I'm going to take the chance. Africa. Oh, Christ. The Congo. Flies everywhere. Oh. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to take the chance of my eyes opening in that world. Why would I do that? Why would I subject myself to that? Why? Why? So there's another question for you people. Another little thought experiment. So there's the dice. They're right in front of you. You will be blanked out for a moment of time. You will bleep. You will go to sleep, and you will wake up as a 3.5, 4-year-old, whatever, 4-year-old, let's just say, somewhere in reality. Yeah, in the real world. You won't wake up as you in your world. You'll wake up as him or her in that world. And you get the real odds are there. The real likelihoods. No inheritance to take you through. Nope. You're just going to be Joe Average luck. So anything can happen. Why are you going to roll those dice? You're safe. Why are you going to roll the dice? Why? It's crazy. I can't figure out a reason. Can't come close to one. What need of mine could that possibly satisfy? I mean, it's not going to be me, except it's going to be me. It's going to be conscious, less like me, except it's like me getting hit by a rock and losing my memory. Yeah. Why would I want to do that? Wouldn't want to do that either. Yeah, no, I can't. Why would I do it? Why? What is my incentive to risk a horrible life? I don't see how I profit. Don't see it at all. So anyway, that's enough. I guess that's enough. That's the question. Where's the profit in it? Where? Where? Sorry, I can't see it. Can't see it. Alright, doesn't matter. See if there's anything else that's news. I don't think so. Sorry, this video is sloppy and too long. So, I apologize. That's what I'll do. I'll just apologize. Right? Like that fixes everything. I'll just say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I recklessly had kids to satisfy my own ego. And yeah, you were born with a bunch of defects. And you got leukemia when you were 6. And slowly died by the time you were 9. You're dead. And yeah, sorry. I'll just say I'm sorry. That'll fix it. I'll make it all better. Sorry. Sorry. Yeah. No, I don't think so. I don't think that's good enough. I don't think so. Yeah, well, anyway, enough. And this is the crowded part anyway. Ooh, mud. So till next time, and such, and so forth, and whatnot. Hope I didn't forget something. Anyway. Anyway, till next time. Anyway, I gonna keep saying it, anyway, because I don't have any other traditional term. So, no, I gotta bear this. I'm a little stressed. That's the problem. Yeah, I'm a little stressed. I just can't get a handle on my life. Ugh. I keep tripping over things. Let's see, a lot of clutter here. I gotta fix that. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so till next time. Sorry, this was way too long.